Now this might be a typical intersection, and if you're not towing a boat or a trailer, you can just make your right-hand turn without thinking about it, but you need to make the turn a little bit wider so that the trailer doesn't drive over the curb or hit something.
Hi, my name's Gerry. I'm a lifelong fisherman and lifelong boater. I've owned all kinds of boats. Small boats, bigger boats, pontoon boats, bass boats, kayaks, canoes, you name it, I've pretty much owned them. I also have a master captain's license, and I was a fishing guide for over 8 years. I also was a captain on a airboat company, and I performed over 4,000 trips there. So I've got a lot of boating experience, and a lot of those boats I towed around. When I lived up north, I fished on tournament trails that traveled across the state and across the neighboring states also. So I've got a lot of miles behind the wheel towing a boat. And as you can imagine, I spent many hours behind the wheel towing a boat and at a boat launch, which is what I want to talk to you about, a boat launch for the most part. Some people have a hard time going to a boat launch, getting the boat in and taking it back out. There's kind of a protocol that you follow to do that, and then a lot of people have a hard time backing a boat up. So I have some tips, some things that I've learned over the years. Follow me. I think you're gonna learn from that. Let's start out with getting the boat ready to tow. There's some things you should always do. This is the boat that I currently own. I got tired of bigger boats, so I wound up buying something smaller that I didn't have to spend so much time taking care of. This is a twin troller. It's a twin troller X10. And it's an electric boat for the most part. However, on the back, I have a small outboard, a Honda 2.3 horsepower. But it's a short wheelbase trailer. If you're having a hard time backing up a boat, doing so on such a smaller trailer is even more difficult, especially when the boat goes down the hill to the boat launch, and on a small boat, you lose sight of it. I've done some things that would help me. But first, let's get the boat ready. The axle and tires of a boat trailer are in the water when you're launching the boat. So you have to make sure that you maintain the bearings inside here. Now, on this boat, as well as other boats that I've had, I installed bearing buddies. That's what these are. This is called a bearing buddy bra. It's just a cover, and that's the bearing buddy. The way how this works, it's spring loaded. You push grease into this end, and the spring keeps pushing grease through the two bearings that are inside all the way to the other side to keep the water from getting into the bearing area. And occasionally you have to grease them. And let me show you. You take a grease gun, there's a nipple. This particular bearing buddy has this blue ring around it. It gives you an indication of how full it is. And you pump the grease in. You see how it's pushing the blue ring out? Matter of fact, it even pushed a little bit of water that was right there. And now it is pushed out, and I know it's full. Now, it was pretty full to begin with, and I just clean it off. I put the bearing buddy bra back on. It traps air, so I kind of push it in and then get it in because I don't want it to fall off as I'm going down the road. And naturally, there's the same setup on the other side. You have to do both of them. Now, you want to make sure that you have air in the tires. I don't check it every time, but I do occasionally check them. I check the bolts to make sure that they're tight so that they hold the rims to the trailer. This is the tongue of the trailer, and I have a lock on here. I always keep a lock on there. It uses a key. It has a pin, and it slides through here because I don't want to come back from fishing and I don't have this locked. and now I don't have a trailer to put the boat back on. So you slide this in. After you put this over the ball, you hook it on, put it through here, turn the key, and now it's locked on. Now there isn't an awful lot of maintenance to this, but there is some. One is you need to lubricate the ball. So I open this up, take a paper towel, I reach in there, and I clean it off. Occasionally, you don't have to do this every time you go, and I clean it off. What do I do then? I use a product made by Reese. It's a hitch ball lube. And it looks like this. It's kind of beige colored, and I take a little on my finger, and I reach up there, and I spread it all around, including on the part that actually grabs a hold of the ball. You can see how dirty my hand is from the old grease that's on there. Clean my hand off, put my top on, and I'm done for at least another year. Now, these are your safety chains. They attach to the back of the vehicle. On the hitch, there's always a place where you hook onto them. They've got a little spring over this, keep it from falling over. And this is my wiring harness that goes to the tow vehicle. The tow vehicle would be over here. You need to have enough slack that when the boat and the trailer are on a turn, that you have enough slack that it won't either break the wires or pull them out of the connection on the boat. This is a tongue jack. It raises and lowers the tongue. You don't have to have this. This is a lighter weight boat, but it is kind of handy. And I sometimes crank this up and put some grease on here. Other than that, there isn't much more maintenance to this. Now, this boat came with this attachment with this rubber bumper to keep the boat at this specific location. Well, this bends fairly easily, and so I just put on some aluminum angle, attached it to here and there, and that holds this from bending up and bending down. This is my winch. I attach this strap, which is rated for several thousand pounds in strength. I got it on Amazon. You can get them. There's a link in the bottom of my video for everything that I use, and you can see that there. They were a pack of 6 for just a couple of dollars, and I put that on. And the reason why I do that is I used to hook like this around the strap, which works just fine. However, you can see it started to damage the strap. So I decided before I damaged this to the point where it was would have to be replaced, I just use this. So I hook it onto here, I'll hook it through here, I hook it on there, and then I tighten the strap, and that's how I get the boat back onto the trailer if I haven't already got it up here by pulling it with my hand. I tighten this so that as I go down the road, this is pretty tight. However, this is a surpass resin boat, plastic if you will. So I don't want to keep the pressure on this 24/7. Once I get home, I unhook this, release this, I just take some pressure off, hook it again, and that's the way how I leave it. So that it's not pulling on this and distorting the boat itself. So what is this rope? I attached it to a ring that I installed here. And this, I just kind of loop it around the front of here. I tie it to the front of the boat. And when I get to the boat launch, this is how I push the boat off. And the boat floats out, and I use the rope to pull it back to the shore. Or the same when I'm taking the boat out of the water, I push the boat with this tied to the front around the back of the trailer and give this a pull on the rope, and I get it most of the way up and then use the winch for the rest of the way. This is something that I added to the trailer after I got the boat. It's a strap that goes all the way around the back of the boat and holds it to the trailer. Hopefully you would never get in an accident. However, if you did, the only place that this is attached to the trailer is in the front. And the whole boat and motor could fly off the trailer if you were in a vehicle accident on the way towing the boat. So I got this ratchet strap, and down here you will see it's a D-ring. I attached it to the frame with some bolts, And I have one identical to it in the same spot on the other side. I attach the hook to it. I tighten it up a little. I crank it. I give it a pull. Make sure everything's where it should be and tight enough. And that's the way how I travel. When you get to the boat launch or when I get home, push this button, release it, and you can take the whole thing right off. If I get back here to the garage, for the same reason that I loosen the front, I loosen this so that I'm not pulling down on the frame of the boat all the time, 24/7, and maybe distorting the boat. I'm ready to leave it alone in the garage until it's time to go again. This is my outboard on the back. I always tow it in this position. I do not tow it in this position. I believe that that puts quite a bit of strain on the transom, this bouncing back and forth. I always leave it when I'm towing it in the down position like this. Before I leave, whether it be this size motor or you have a bigger motor, you might want to make sure you have gas. Yep, I got gas. This motor will run wide open throttle for an hour with the gas that's in the tank that's built into it. I bring additional gas. I have 2 bottles like this. I have links to these just below this video. And these hold just about the same amount of gas that this does. So with these 2, I can run wide open throttle for 3 hours without running out of fuel. These also have a fairly wide mouth. This has a fairly wide opening here, and I've had no problems pouring fuel into here while out on the water. I'm not sure how well you can see this, but I have cables attached to a fastener that is attached to the transom so that the motor, should these become loose for some reason, cannot get above the transom and fall off the boat. And if you've followed my channel, you'll find out that that one happened. This motor actually fell off the back of the transom while I was out fishing. I have no idea how it did that. I still don't. I retrieved it from the bottom of the lake, luckily. And if you look at the video, I did some things and got this running again, and it's never been an issue. But I did that as a safety precaution to secure the motor to the transom so it can't get above the transom height with the clamp without me undoing the wires that I have securing it. Now this boat has cleats on all 4 corners, and in the front corner over there, the front left corner, I always keep this, which is the drain plug to the boat, and I keep it attached. I go through, I have just a piece of rope. I probably should replace this rope. It's getting kind of tattered, and I flip it over like that. So this is always sitting on that front cleat. So as I get out of the tow vehicle and I'm coming back to the thing, if I have forgotten to put this into the hole to make sure that the boat doesn't fill up with water, then hopefully I'll remember because I see it there. And the hole is right underneath this bottle. I'm hoping that you can see that there. I'm holding the camera, so pardon me because it's kind of moving around. You put that in the hole, fold over the handle, and that squeezes the rubber and it fills up the hole completely. So you need to have that in before you put the boat in the water. And when I get back, I usually take this back out so that if there's any kind of water in the boat that got splashed in or whatever reason, it usually drains back here while I'm towing the boat, and it just falls through that hole and disappears. Now, it doesn't make any difference whether it's a small boat like this or a larger boat that you could take multiple people in, or if you're even going in saltwater offshore, which I've done many times. This is just my emergency bag. I have all kinds of things in here. I've got spare ropes, I've got tools, I've got some food in here, snacks. I've got everything I think that I could need in case I broke down. Some loose wire, electrical tape, all kinds of things in here. And I keep this sitting right here. But at the same idea of the safety, if you look, there's a fire extinguisher right here. I've been in a boat that was on fire. It wasn't a fun time. I always have a fire extinguisher, and you should have one in any boat, especially a boat that uses gasoline. Now you may be wondering, what's with the wires here and the power cord? When this boat was brand new, it came with a battery charger that was mounted on the side of the gunnel here. I've since changed over to a different kind of battery. I needed a different kind of charger. So I took that old charger out, and I don't take the charger with me. So this charges my main battery in the back, which is a lithium, and I have two smaller batteries here. They're both lithium batteries. One operates the fish finder here, and one operates my live scope, and this is the live scope box in the back, and here is the live scope transom here. So I leave this on the charger, but I have to charge two different times. One is the battery in the back, and these two batteries I charge together. And I made these little clips fully charged so that when I'm charging this one, I attach this here, and when I get all done, I unplug it, and I know that this is fully charged. And I do the same thing in the back. I have one of these clips. I charged this battery already. I attach that to it so that when I'm ready to go fishing, if I see this here and I see the two clips on these two batteries, I know that they're fully charged. So when it's time to go fishing, if I haven't already disconnected this, I can disconnect it, make the connections to the batteries, and I'll be ready to go. It's just my way of making sure that I don't forget to have all my batteries charged before I leave to go fishing. Now I have a fishing towel attached on a carabiner, which is just attached to the wire that goes to my battery here. And I keep it here for the reason that I can use it to clean my hands, but I also lay this down on the battery, and I loosen the bracket for my fish finder. The fish finder is not in there right now. And I lay it down over the top of here, and then I tighten it so that it can't go anywhere. And this is kind of my way of padding between here and here, just so that it's not bouncing on it the whole trip. It's important to not lose your equipment while you're trailering the boat. That's a little obvious. This can loosen up, especially if I don't tighten this right here all the way down. That's the bracket that holds this is my live scope, the Panoptix transducer. This goes into the water. It's used with conjunction of my fish finder, my Garmin 93SV UHD. This is here just to keep things from bouncing out. Now they also keep my fishing rod, because they're inside here, from bouncing out. There's a little clip that I have here, and I have these little U-shaped brackets, one here and one mounted here. On this side on the bracket, instead of putting a clip like that, I have it folded like this with a hog ring here to keep them secured. So that side always stays there and can't fall off. And then I always put this in, and I put it in with the clip side up like that, because it's difficult to get it off. You can't get your kind of finger underneath it if it's on this way. So I put it like that. As you can see, this is the other side of the boat, and I have another one over here. I just unclip that, and then I can take my rods in and out. So once I get to the boat launch and I'm fishing for the day, these stay like this. But once I'm trailering, I take the clip, get my fishing rods in here, and pop that up. This holds the rods here, and this strap that's attached down here on the bottom, this goes over the top of these rods and holds them in place here. I had also installed an additional rod holder here. One comes from the factory up here, and over there I installed one here, and that also helps anything from bouncing out, so the rods can't get out of here while I'm driving down the road. This is the back of the trailer. That's my lights. I replaced the original lights with LED lights. They're brighter, they're waterproof. The original ones didn't last too long before I was getting corrosion around the bulbs, because the water goes actually inside the casing. On these, they're sealed. They work fantastic. If you can see right there, see the red tape that's there? I have tape throughout the trailer, reflective tape that I installed just like right there, so that should I lose my lights for whatever reason, I still have some way for people to hopefully see me, especially if it's in the dark. Their headlights will reflect off of those. Those are DOT reflectors by 3M. How do I put fuel into my fuel cans as well as into the boat itself? I use this, and it's called the No Spill. I have found it to be the best at doing this, and to reduce the possibility of spilling your fuel. You can also control it. You take the cap off the end and you put this all the way in. I'm going to show you this way. It will only go into about here. And then you push this green button and fuel will come out until it gets to about here. And then it will stop on its own. So you can't overfill this. And then you just put your top back on. I don't take this in the boat with me. This is just for filling my cans when I get home or filling the motor when I get home so that I'm ready to go next time. What do you do if you break down on the road while you are towing the boat? Well, that's what this stuff is for. This is a 4-way wrench. It fits different size holes, one of which fits the trailer bolts, and it also gives you a lot of leverage for turning it. This is for jacking the boat up. It goes underneath the frame in the back. You can go either way, but goes underneath the frame in the back. Then you back the trailer up and it will literally lift the whole thing right off of the ground. You can do whatever you got to do and then you pull it forward and it'll come back. That's priceless to me. And having a spare tire is really a good idea. You got to make sure that your tire size matches the tire that you have on there. Getting another rim and another tire and having air in it is priceless if you got a flat tire on the road. As you can see by all the nubs on the tires, this has never been on the ground. And I'm hoping it never gets there, because that means I've never had a flat on the road and I didn't have to change it. Well, what is this? It's the life jacket. This particular model, it will self-inflate. I have disabled the self-inflating capabilities of it. So I have to manually pull this cord to pierce this bottle, and it then opens up the life jacket, and there's a bladder inside that pops out, blows all the way up, and it's now on the front of me. The reason why I don't have it self-activating anymore is because if I go, say, in a friend's boat, in a bass boat, something that's going really fast, that I could get ejected from the boat, I could be knocked unconscious, then I want it to automatically fire up for me. But the worst that's ever going to happen to this is I'm going to fall out of the boat just over the side. So I'd rather have it not inflate unless I want it to. I always wear this. If you look at any of my videos, you never see me without a life jacket on. Whenever I'm in the boat, I always have a hat. I'm in Central Florida. It's the Sunshine State. It's hot here, it's very sunny, and I wear sunscreen, and in addition to that, I'm wearing a hat. Whether it be a baseball style hat like this or some kind of wide brimmed hat. I've gone through a lot of them in the last couple of years trying to find something I was really happy with. It's wide brimmed, it fits, it's very flexible, but I've since been wearing this lately. It has a built-in cape on the back. It's self-adjustable to tightness. It actually has another cape like this that can go around the front. You look like you're a bank robber or a COVID-concerned person. I really like this. It actually has a seam here. When it comes to you, it's folded in half, so you can fold this like this and store it. I've said this before. If you're looking for any of the things that I generally carry on the boat, have used, I have links to them in a section called Show More that's directly underneath the video. Just click on there and it will take you to links so that you can find them if you are interested. Now, I've shown you a bunch of things to do. Some you want to do regularly, some you do once in a while, but these are all things you got to do before you leave, before you start towing the boat someplace so that you don't get in trouble at that point. But let's go tow the boat, and let's go launch the boat, and let's go take the boat back out. I'll show you a bunch of things that are really handy for doing your actual towing and backing of the boat. And let me show you one thing real quick. See this PVC 1/2 inch? I got a couple of washers behind it with this bolt holding it in place. I did the same thing down here, put a bolt in and it's holding it in place. This is pointed directly down the boat while it's on the trailer. This stays with the trailer. I have found this to be just such an aid when backing the boat, because this small boat, especially when the boat is not on the trailer and you're trying to take the boat back out of the water, when you back this down the hill to the boat launch, you completely lose location of where the boat trailer is behind you. And this helps tremendously. There are other aids that you can do. I have a big mirror that attaches by suction cups to the back of the tow vehicle. You can stick it on the window, and it lets you look in the mirror and see kind of where things are. There are other ones that have attachments that connect to the trailer with a ball sticking up like a tennis ball, and you take the other tennis ball with the stem and you attach it on the back of the tow vehicle, and when the two balls get close to each other, they're right close to where the connection that you're going to put the ball onto the receiver. But when you're towing the vehicle and backing it down the hill, this I found to be priceless. I changed configurations on this a couple of times. This works great, and I'll show you how it works. So don't go anywhere. Good stuff is yet to come.
Here we go. Trailer's in the water.